let's kind of go about how we got here, right? So since the 1960s, guys, women have been being pushed to the forefront through feminism, right? And through feminism, it did a couple of things. Feminism and birth control, right? And the sexual revolution. It allowed a couple of things to happen. It allowed women to enter the workforce. It allowed women to have sex with almost zero consequence, right, outside of STDs. And allowed them to almost assimilate into a male position. Okay? And what men thought would happen through feminism was we would have free love. All men would have sexual access. We wouldn't have to pay their bills because now they'd be making their own money and we'd be able to just get laid, right? We wouldn't have to worry about children because the pill was around. And quite frankly, right, we did it hoping and thinking, right? So from one perspective, we did it from, oh, this is the right thing to do, give women rights, right? And from the other perspective, we're like, yes, give women rights, and it's going to benefit us as well. We're doubling the workforce. We got more employees. We're gonna get laid. We don't have to worry about kids. Woo, yeah, feminism. But the opposite happened. What ended up happening instead was, since women got their own money and were able to provide for themselves, right? And that part of hypergamy is taken care of, right? Their need for security and provisioning. Since that's taken care of, the only real reason that they deal with men is one of two things. It's either they're able to gain a higher level of security and provisioning from said male. This is why most women want a man that makes about 56% more than they do, right? Or he's attractive and he fulfills some type of physical or emotional need that the woman is looking for, right? This is why you'll often realize that when women play the game and they're dating multiple guys, a lot of these men have different traits about them, right, that makes them distinguished. Maybe one guy might be a nice guy. One guy might have that bad boy energy that they were able to get the sex from. Another guy might be a provider. Another guy might be funny. So they're able to almost compartmentalize the different traits that they like in men and have a man that fulfills each void, because it's very difficult to find a man that has everything. So what is the man that women are actually looking for? Well, and I've heard this term thrown around in the academia side when it comes to women. I got to get this guy on the show one day. But long story short, it's something called the dark gentleman, right? And the dark gentleman, guys, is a guy who is attractive and has these dark triad traits while simultaneously isn't a sucker, right? And this, my friends, is the perfect blend of you're able to maintain attraction and arousal simultaneously. You're not just a guy that a girl looks at and says, okay, he's a good provider and he's nice, I like him. Your woman is also aroused by you and wants to hook up with you and finds you as like a bad one. She can't, take advantage of you. A perfect example of this actually is my good friend Justin Waller. Shout out to him. Right? The cowboy Chad. Tall, good-looking guy, well-spoken, very well-dressed, wears a suit everywhere he goes. Right? Dude looks like a fucking GQ commercial. But he's also not a sucker when it comes to women. He treats them well. He's nice to them. But he's also not a simp. That is what I would say is like a very good blend, right, of where you want to be as a man. And now that we kind of understood what the dark gentleman is, let's go back to the whole feminism thing and how we got here to this situation. So we went ahead and encouraged feminism, We encourage women to enter the workforce. We encourage women to make their own money. We encourage women to pursue education. We encourage women to be equal to men. But what men didn't realize was that when women have the ability to choose their partner, what ends up happening, depending on where they are in life, is they're going to pick what's best for them at that time in their life. So typically when a woman's at her highest sexual market value, and she's been indoctrinated by feminism, she's going to chase the bad boys and the guys that give her emotional turmoil, right? Because women love that excitement, because they don't need to worry so much about the provisioning, right? We talked about this. They don't need to worry so much about the provisioning as they used to. They just need you to look like you can make money, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they expect you to share the resource with them. As women age and get a bit more mature, they start looking for security and provisioning more. This is why a woman that's 35 years old will be more willing to date a guy, right, that might not have all the looks together, but he's a bit more financially secure. Versus when she was 25, she was looking, and she had higher value, she was looking for the Chad that had everything. The dark gentleman, like we discussed earlier. So where does this put the men? We talked about feminism. We talked about how women are able to make their own money and do what they need to do. But where does this put the men? Well, I'll tell you where it puts the men. It puts the men in a very odd place. Because what's effectively happened is, since women don't need men for provisioning, a majority of men are now virtually invisible or don't exist to women. Because it used to be, you can be an average guy, meet an average woman, or meet an above average woman even for that matter, and be able to find her, marry her, and have a family. Those days are gone, my friends. Absolutely cooked. And this is where the tradcons and me have our differences, right? Tradcons still think it's 1954. Well, I'm trying to tell them, no, it's 2024 and things have changed. An average man is no longer able to attract an average woman off of just being a good husband, okay? Because women make their own money now. So they're not going to saddle themselves with a average man with average sexual market value anymore. They can do that themselves. And this is how many women speak when you guys listen to them on the show. What do they say all the time? Oh, I make my own money. What do I need a guy for? If you're going to come in, you need to bring something to the table. And they quite literally mean that. Right? So what this has done, guys, and I really want to make this clear here, because I think it's very important for us to realize how the fuck we got here. All right? So what this has done is it's effectively removed 80 to 90% of men from the sexual marketplace all fucking together. Because since women's provisioning is taken care of, their education is taken care of, what's left? The thing that's left is, now, I want a guy that brings more to the table than I do. I already don't like men. This is the female perspective, of course. I already don't like men, and I find a majority of them as unattractive. I make my own money. So why the fuck do I need to saddle myself with a regular guy? I made this money and became successful so that I don't have to deal with regular guys. I only want the top. So what's effectively happened, my friends, and this has been documented in so many different studies, as much as women try to deny this shit, the reality is this. A staggering majority of the women are chasing a fraction of the men. What has this done? It's effectively left most men outside of the sexual marketplace. Completely kicked out. Like, just yeeted. What has this done? This, my friends, has created what I call the simp epa-fucking-demic. Feminism, right, made women realize that a majority of men are unnecessary. This majority of men, your average guy, now they're ostracized by a majority of women. Since the majority of these men cannot attract the majority of women, what do they turn to? They turn to sexuality through other means. This enter in market of OnlyFans, pornography, escorts, and men generally simping on women all over the internet. You guys think Pokimane and Sophie Rain and these other 304s came out of fucking nowhere? No. They are a direct result of the ostracization of a majority of men from the sexual marketplace. The simp epidemic that you guys are witnessing now, where men tolerate, accept, and in some cases even embolden bad female behavior, is a direct result of a majority of men being removed from the sexual marketplace as viable candidates. When you see these men simping on these women, that comes from what I call a scarcity mindset. And that scarcity mindset is in full effect for a majority of men, because the majority of men, whether they want to admit it or not, absolutely fucking struggle with women. They might not admit it to you. They might not admit it to their family. Hell, they probably won't even admit it to their fucking selves. But a staggering majority of men struggle with women. If you have a girlfriend right now and she doesn't respect and obey you, you're struggling. If you don't have a girlfriend right now, you're struggling. If you have a girl that looks at you as an equal, you're struggling. Because what feminism has done has not only has it ostracized the majority of men from the sexual marketplace, no one talks about this. What it's also done has made men tolerant of bad female fucking behavior. Feminism didn't just ruin the family, and it didn't just destroy relationships. It destroyed the man's position in a relationship as the authority. So even now, when you see men that have women, what do? Oh, happy wife, happy life. Oh, let me run that by my girlfriend. Let me run that by my wife. Oh, I'll get back to you. I got to talk to my girl. Men are so goddamn cucked nowadays that even when they do have a woman, they got that woman by the skin of their fucking teeth. And since they got that woman by the skin of their fucking teeth, they do everything in their power to maintain her. Inadvertently not understanding that they're actually pushing her away and making her less attracted to them. And the majority of men don't understand this. They think, I want to keep her happy and give her everything that she wants, she'll stay with me. Not knowing, by succumbing to her demands and pedestalizing her, like popular culture tells you to do, by the way, you're actually losing attraction. Every kiss begins with K. Right? We have a society that puts the woman first, always. Right? Now, that used to work in TradCon times because women didn't work. Women weren't members of the workforce. Right? There was religion. There was society that shamed women from doing bad shit. It kept them faithful to their man, but all of these guardrails are gone. So since all of these guardrails are gone, and we live in a secularized society where most women don't identify as religious, what's up happening is the women take on the authority from their man, though they claim they want it, but it doesn't work. And their man thinks it's the best way to go to maintain her and keep her happy. And that's how we have the divorce rates where 70 to 80% of the divorces are initiated by women. Because men that were never attractive in the fucking first place got with women that weren't attracted to them in the fucking first place. They didn't respect them. The guy simps, makes it even worse, loses his masculine edge and his authority, and then she fucking leaves him. And that, my friends, is where we are today in society. We now live in the deregulated sexual marketplace where women control everything, and the men are bending over backwards to just get sexual access. And most of them go about it the wrong way by giving the woman everything that she wants, thinking that's going to keep her there, when in reality it doesn't. And this is why a majority of women don't respect their men. This is why a majority of relationships are cooked. And this is why a majority of men struggle with women. And if they do get her, they pedestalize her and do the fuck-ups that I mentioned before. And that's how you end up with this simp economy, where we got guys paying women for feet pictures. We got guys gladly being sugar daddies. We got women making millions upon millions of dollars on OnlyFans. We have men that have addiction to porn. We wouldn't have all these industries thriving if men were on their P's and Q's and women respect men and men weren't struggling with women. But the explosion of pornography and OnlyFans points to one fucking thing. And that is, a lot of guys are not getting laid and not sexually satisfied with their women. And hey, I'm not surprised a lot of them struggle. Because a majority of women don't want a majority of men at all. Most women look at men as pesky mosquitoes. And this is the tough talk that no one wants to say on the internet. Right? You're not going to find content like this anywhere else on the internet, where we're just keeping it real with you, letting you guys know that most of you guys are a burden of females. Most of you guys are considered uglier females. Most women don't want to talk to you guys. Most women don't want to entertain you guys. And they damn sure don't want to fucking date you guys. And once you understand that the average woman doesn't respect, nor does she want to be with the average man, the faster you can change. Fast forward to today's episode. Half of advancing your game and increasing your frame is understanding where the fuck we're at. And that is why I had to give you that, guys, that monologue of where we stand in the current sexual marketplace. Give me one in the chat. Give me one in the chat if that makes sense. I went ahead and explained feminism, how we got here, the sexual marketplace now as it stands, etc. Give me ones if that all makes sense. Then we're going to get into the top 7 things.